Okay.
Okay, so I think this is a shrub. Does everyone agree? Go to page 47. Leaves, branching habitat usually opposite or whorled. Not that one. Leaves and or branching habitat usually alternate, which is what that one is. We go to 2. Leaves compound or leaves simple. Simple, so we go to 3. Stems and or leaves spinescent to some degree, or stems and or leaves lacking spines. Don't see any spines, so we go to page 65. Okay. Stems fleshy, constricted at the nodes, leaves scale-like, or plants not as above. I'd say no. Go to 2. Stems and or leaves more or less scurfy or mealy, at least when young. Herbage often silvery or green or gray-green. Stems and leaves not scurfy, sometimes hairy. Other characteristics may vary. I'd say it's probably that second couplet. So we go to 14. Okay. Stems appearing almost leafless, leaves sparse, stems leafy. Say it's pretty leafy, so we go to 17. Leaves with a sage-like odor when crushed, or leaves sometimes aromatic when crushed, without a sage-like odor. When I smelt it, I didn't smell sage, but if anyone smells it, let me know. So that'd be 35. Okay. Leaves usually lobed or cleft to some degree, or leaves mostly entire, serrate, or crenate. And I'd say B there, so we'd go to 76. Okay. Mature leaves whitish or silvery tomentose, sure. On one side or both, with conspicuous copious soft hairs. The hair is matted, woolly, or oppressed, more or less obscuring the surface of the leaf. Leaves sometimes appearing terrate if they are cerebrally that the tomentose underside does not show.
Okay, this one really requires your loop. So please take a moment and look at the front and back of the leaves to see if you find any hairs.
Well, we know that this is a member of the willow family, so wouldn't we?
Can't we just go
Right, because we made that mistake last time, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he pointed out something really good. We know this is a member of the willow family, and if we take couplet 77, there are no willows on that one. So let's go ahead and take couplet 130.
Like the way you think. All right. Branchlets deciduous, leaves scale-like, no. Branchlets not deciduous. So 131. Leaf buds covered with one non-resinous cap, like scale, which we decided it was salix, so we're gonna go with that one. So it'd be 132. Mat forming, typically less than 10 centimeters tall, usually near or above timberline. No on both accounts. Not mat forming, so we go to 135. Leaf blades linear, usually 6 or more times longer than wide. Entire or toothed, sessile, short petiolate, petioles usually less than 6 millimeters long, or leaf blades narrowly elliptical or wider, mostly less than 6 times longer than wide, mostly finely toothed, entire petioles typically longer.
I think it's that one.
Yeah, I mean, look at this one here. This is not linear, right? This is much more elliptic or lanceolate. Okay?
137 it is.
Yeah.
Current branches glaucose or prunose, and then current branches not glaucose or prunose.
Oh. Okay, take your loop out and look at the branchlets. What does it mean to be glaucous or prunose? Glaucous is waxy. Prunose is basically the same thing.
Oh, I was reading a good key for this, and usually you can wipe it off. Like it really is waxy, resinous.
So can you do that on this one? You mean for prunose?
Oh, do I need for prunose? Okay.
I can. Glaucus usually you can't wipe off as easily. Prunos you can.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm kind of doing that with my thumb right here, and it does come off.
So 138.
138. Okay. Mature plants usually less than 1.5 meters tall. Epidermis of the internodes exfoliating in translucent flakes.
Okay, we need to make sure. Look at the branchlets. Is that color that we're seeing from waxy flakes or from hairs? I need you to look because I don't have my loop. In particular on the older stems. You need a plantlet? Jeez.
Well, it's definitely not.
It's not hairy.
Okay, so we've got 2 people saying it's not hairy.
I agree.
And 3 people. So can you see the actual like flakes of the glaucusness or the prunos aspect? Yeah.
It's flaky.
I would say so.
Okay. So then we're definitive on that one, right? So which couplet are we at now?
It was 138.
Okay, so we're going to 138. Epidermis of the internodes exfoliating or not? Try and make it come off with your finger.
Just a seam.
Yeah, you can. Epidermis is that internodes. That's like in the axillary bud.
Nope. What's an internode?
That's between the leaves.
There you go. So between the nodes of the leaves is the internode. So basically you're looking at the between the leaves. Okay, so I sense some uncertainty here. Okay?
Yeah, that makes more sense. I would say no.
Yeah, I would say
Translucent flakes.
I would say yes.
I would say yes.
It would. But that's my experience with that branchlet. So let's do it both ways. Let's say, okay, it tentatively could be Salix glauca. Let's take it let's take it beyond that and see what happens. Question.
Wouldn't we say that's wrong because it's definitely taller than that? The
Mature plants
1.5.
usually less than 1.5 meters
That's
tall.
only like.
That's 1 meter.
Yeah, one.
I guess you double it, so yeah.
That's like 9.
Could be about 1.5.
1.5 meters is about 5 feet tall. That's taller than me. A little bit.
So just
That's
2
you're 6
inches
feet.
shorter than
I'm
me.
like 6'2".
Okay. So then it's probably taller than that. So that might suggest we go on. So let's go on and see what happens, okay?
Okay, 139. Mature leaves with dense silvery hairs below, not easily rubbed off, dark green and glabrous above, margins sometimes slightly revolute, leaves up to 9 centimeters long and 3 centimeters wide. Or mature leaves sparsely pubescent to glabrous, the lower surface with the surface with pressed, easily removed, often rust-colored or yellowish, silky hairs, margins not revolute, leaves up to 8 centimeters long and 1.5 centimeters wide. I don't think they're revolute at all.
They're not really hairy.
I agree.
Sometimes they're 3 centimeters wide either.
I,
It might Mine be slightly. isn't. That looks a little.
it's undulating in some places. It
Yeah.
could possibly be that. So let me read this again.
So can
Is
we
this
be
dense silvery hairs?
We will.
Can we rule that one out? Do you see dense silvery hairs on this leaf? Absolutely not. Okay. So then in that case, it's either glauca or Guyeriana. Okay.
Sorry, was that you? I thought it was a bug. It's like,
3, 4, 3, 4.
So let's look at page 423. Okay, I'm going to read the description for Guyeriana. This is the Geyer's willow. It's a large shrub that may grow up to 5 meters tall. Up to 5 meters tall.
Way bigger than that.
That's like 15 feet, right? And that one can do that, right? Young branches are usually strongly glaucous, smooth, slender, and red-brown to purplish brown. No.
So it has to be the other one.
Okay, so right now this is not quite fitting, right? So let's go to the next one. Glauca.
This is also like red.
Gray willow is a low-growing branching shrub, 3 to 15 decimeters tall. Does that fit? No. Okay, no it doesn't. So somewhere we've gone wrong.
Willows make
We goofed. Okay? Let's go back to couplet 131. That is where we get into the differences between Salix and Populus, okay? So couplet 131, does anybody know which page that is?
82.
Okay, go ahead, let's start again.
Okay, 131A. Leaf buds covered with one non-resinous cap-like scale, flowers and catkins, seeds with down attached, moist, usually moist or wet habitats, or leaf bud with more than one scale. Other characteristics and habitat may vary.
Okay, we know this is a Salix, right? So we're going to 132, right?
So mat forming, typically less than 10 centimeters tall. Not that, so it's not mat forming.
Definitely not mat forming, although I would really love to meet that species that's a mat forming willow. That's really rare.
So 135. Leaf blades linear, usually 6 or more times longer than wide, entire to tooth, sessile or short petiolate. Petioles usually less than 6 centimeters long, or leaf blades narrowly elliptical or wider, mostly less than 6 times longer than wide, mostly finely toothed or entire. Petioles typically longer. So it's, we already decided.
137,
Yeah.
okay?
Current branchlets, glaucous or prunose, or current branchlets not glaucous or prunose.
Okay, so this is the place where we chose 138, which frankly I still agree with. Okay, but let's go down to 140 and see what happens.
Okay. 140. Petiole with glands near the base of the blade, mature leaves with long acuminate tips, or petiole lacking glands near the base of the blade.
Are these long acuminate at the tips? No. 141.
Okay. Leaves glaucose below, or the lower surface much lighter due to dense hairs obscuring the surface, or leaves not glaucose, sometimes lighter but not glaucose. If the lower surface is obscured by hairs, the hairs are equally dense on both sides.
What do you guys think? Is the lower surface much lighter in color than the top?
Yeah, it is.
Yes. Okay.
But is it due to the dense hairs?
Is it hairy or is it glaucous?
I guess it is glaucous. so
It's glaucous, right? It's more of a waxy cuticle, okay? So then we're gonna go with 142.
Okay. Current branches, usually reddish brown or reddish purple, oppressed, hairy, occasionally glabrous. Older branches sometimes appearing streaked due to the cracked bark. Mature buds usually with depressed margins, sometimes tree-like, up to 8 meters tall. 1 to many stems, up to 1 or 1.5 decimeters thick. Catkins pale yellow, lighter brown. Capsules hairy with long stipules, with long stipes. And then 142B, characteristics of branches, buds, etc. Not as above in all ways.
Okay, are the current branches red-brown? No. So we're going to 143.
All right. Mature shrubs usually less than 1.5 meters tall. Bark of, that's not true.
That's not true. Okay, 146.
Yep, 1.6. Twigs lustrous black, purplish black, or dark chestnut, or twigs not as above. Leaves green. 147, right?
Yep.
New branchlets, usually glabrous, rarely pubescent. Mature expanded leaves, usually glabrous. If occasionally pubescent, then more so than above. And then 147B, new branchlets, usually pubescent. Sometimes becoming glabrous. Young leaves, densely hairy with when young. Mature leaves, glabrous above. All that good stuff.
Okay, so you guys need to approach the plant and determine the differences between the young and old branchlets. What do you think?
I think it would be 147 leaves. These mature leaves are probably above and either below.
I agree. I think that there's little hairs on the new branchlets. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I just was looking more for the when it's full grown. It was, what was it, glabrous on top, and then puberulent or strigulous below. Anyways, I just assumed that meant like fluffy or like a little hairy. Wait,
Oh, I don't agree.
did I read that wrong?
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, glabra above, puberulent, stridulous, or stridulous below.
Are the young leaves densely hairy?
Oh, I didn't see it.
No.
So that would have to be the first one.
No, this is a challenging one because to me it's not mutually exclusive. Okay, so again, we're coming to a point where there's some uncertainty. I think that I'm not exactly sure which way to take this one. But let's go with your assertion. So what do you say?
Well, I said 149, so it can only be the Scowler's willow or the arroyo willow. And I guess if we read it, so leaves mostly oblanceolate to obovate, freshly stripped bark of the branchlets with a skunky odor. I don't think it smells bad, and it occupies drier habitat, so it wouldn't be that. Leaves mostly oblong or narrowly elliptic to oblanceolate, bark of the branchlets lacking a skunky odor, stream-sized ditches and washes.
Okay, so to me the difference there that makes the most sense is the leaf shape. Are these leaves oblanceolate or obovate? Do you remember what that means? Alyssa, do you remember what that means to be obovate or oblanceolate?
Is it like
You're getting close. What was you going to say?
it's like
It's not the arroyo
Yeah,
the
willow.
picture?
Right, the picture that has the cross, right?
Yeah.
It's basically at where in the leaf is the widest point of the leaf. In an ob leaflet, it's towards the top. It's beyond the middle. I do not believe this to be ob in any way, shape, or form, okay? This is much more of a lanceate or elliptic leaf. So in that case, we would definitely say it is not Scholariana. Let's look at Laziolepis. Leaves mostly oblong or narrowly elliptic to oblanceolate. Bark of the branchlets lacking a skunky odor, stream-sized stitches and washes. Okay, this could be narrowly elliptic in some respects, but I don't consider this oblanceolate.
No, the picture is very different.
Okay, let's look at the picture. So that's
Yeah, it can't be
426.
that. It also says
I think we read wrong.
or it can be red in the other one. Bad news bears. Yet again.
Yeah, 426 has the leaves much more narrow than this, right? Okay. So again, we're not on the right track. So let's go back one couplet and see what happens.
No worries.
We're on 148.
Okay, we're on 148. Go ahead.
Leaves lanceolate to elliptical, occasionally oblong to obovate. If lanceolate, the base is rounded to subcordate. Tips acuminate to acute and margins entire to cerulate. Midrib and petiole usually green. Third year bark ash gray. And then B would be leaves elliptical to obovate, occasionally ovate. The base is tapering, tips blunt to acute. margin serrate, crenate to entire, midrib and or petiole often red, third year bark not found.
Okay, what is the characteristic that is most obvious to you guys in this couplet?
Red petioles.
Midrib color.
The midrib couplet, the red petiole. For me, the one thing that stood out to me was the base of the leaflet. Is it rounded or is it tapering?
Kind of more tapered.
It's very rounded. Okay, so that one's at Salix aerocephala, page 421. Let's see if it fits.
What does it mean by third year bark? When you have to know the age of the.
I know that's tough, right?
Yeah.
So let's read that one really quick. Third year bark, ashy gray. Okay, so if you come up here and you take a look and go down the length of this of the branchlet, you're getting to older age, right? And you'll notice that even the branchlet I had was part of the base of the plant, and it had that pruinose feel to it.
Oh yeah.
It had that ashy grayness that I could rub it off. And so in my opinion, that fits. Okay. So if we take a look at page 421, what do you think? Do you agree or not?
Not 421, no. It actually looks like the one on
Yeah, it
428.
looks like 428.
The
Four-
bad
428? What's 428? Am I wrong?
Mountain Willow, Salix monticola.
Monticola.
Yeah,
It kind of looks like it.
kind of does look.
It really looks like it.
It really looks.
Yeah, like it's.
It really looks like it, but we never even got to that anywhere in the key.
Yeah.
Well,
It was
we,
the other
it was
one.
one of the
Other
choices.
It was the other
On the
option.
Where?
What we did.
148B.
Oh,
The bed.
And I feel like the red petiole on that one.
see, I think that the use of the base is rounded to subcordate versus tapering, to me that's not a good example then. But let's go ahead and look at it. I agree that it looks much more close to Monticola.
Is that normally found here then, or no? Because it says the LaSalle and Abajo
Oh, yeah.
Mountains, but I don't know
It
if
does
that's...
say that. That's the other thing, that this is really strange. It does say that it's in the LaSalle or Abajo Mountains, but if you look at the map distribution, there is one dot in the neighboring county to us, and we're just about over the border.
Okay.
In fact, we might be over the border. And so, but let's read it. Let's read the description for mountain willow. Usually 1.5 to 5 meters tall and forms thickets along stream banks and in swamps and wet meadows. New twigs are reddish to yellow. The petioles are 5 to 10 millimeters long. The leaf blades are ovate, lanceolate, or elliptic to ovovate, usually 3 to 8 centimeters long and up to 3 centimeters wide, with crenate, serrate, or subentire margins. Glabrous above and glaucous below. So far, I agree with everything except for the petiole length.
Yeah.
The floral bracts are dark and persistent in fruit, and that's about it. Okay, so mountain willow occurs in Beaver, Garfield, Grand, Paiute, San Pete, Sevier, Uinta, and Wasatch counties. Monticola may easily be confused with Boothii, which lacks glaucous leaves, and Aerocephala, which has longer and okay, this one is where in which I would go to the Utah flora to determine the differences here. Now there is a comment under Aerocephala, which is called the graybark willow. It says this. Okay, well I'm going to read the description for graybark willow really quick. It's a large shrub or small tree, 3 to 8 meters tall. Young twigs are slender and yellowish green to reddish, and mature branches are ashy white. Ashy white. I would agree with that, again, because of that almost scaly stuff that's on the branchlets. The petioles are 1 to 11 millimeters long. I don't agree with that. The leaf blades are 2 to 6 centimeters long and 9 to 25 millimeters wide. We're pushing it on that. The leaves are elliptic to lanceolate, glaucous below, and usually glabrous at maturity with entire to serrulate margins. Okay, Ariocephala occurs in most Utah counties, along ditches and streams. And then it says here there are two varieties in Utah. Variety watsonii and Variety ligulifolia. The former variety is more widespread and its year-old twigs are predominantly yellowish green. Variety ligulifolia is much less common, with year-old twigs that are mainly red or reddish brown. Ariocephala refers to the woolly inflorescence, which we don't have, right? Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Ligulifolia, meaning strap, or folia, meaning leaf. Okay. Okay, so I'm undecided on this one, but I originally keyed this to Ariocephala. But I agree that the picture looks much more like Monticola. And so I think this is a case in which maybe there needs some taxonomic work to be done on this. These may grade into each other, and it's very possible that I might agree that they're not different species, that they're the same species, representing a greater variation in these characteristics than others agree with, okay? That's what happens in botany. Botanists can disagree. We call them lumpers versus splitters. Lumpers take species that grade into each other and put them into one species. Splitters split them apart, okay? So my gut would be to say, I don't know, that's really hard. It looks so much like Monticola, but neither description is perfect. So what do you guys think?
Monticola, because if you're looking at the base of Great Lakes, it does not, the base of it doesn't taper like the other one does either.
See, I agree with that too. I agree that this is not a tapering base. So maybe we should go with Monticola. Okay? I think that most of you here think it's Monticola. And it fits as much as the other one does, so let's go with it. If anybody takes this home and looks at it with the Utah